Well, good morning, everybody. This morning I'm going to talk about faith again. And what kind of motivates me to bring faith um, into the foreground in our community is what I perceive as just the really vital necessity for each of us to be aware of how much work we have done in our lives. For each of us to be able to sit in the seat of how much development we have experienced in unpacking the difference between delusion and reality. We are bombarded. Now, that's not even enough. It's like saturated from all the media and interactions with people who, have never exposed themselves to wisdom. We're saturated in delusion. It's exhausting, stressful. It makes us anxious and unhappy. And look at this. Look at this. Every one of us is here this morning to say, yeah, that's not okay with me. I'm not going to live there. I'm not going to live drowning in ignorance and delusion. I want to see what's true, what's out there, what this actually is. I want to develop skills to have a life. Maybe I just leave it there, to have a life instead of getting floating downstream like a broken piece of a branch without any agency, without any sense of, wait, I have the capacity to swim against the stream. This stream of delusion. The opposite of faith is doubt. And doubt is very pervasive. I was listening to something Sharon Salzberg was talking about, and she pointed out that the Buddha said of all the hindrances, doubt is the most insidious, the most challenging, because when restlessness or sleepiness, when greed and aversion are present, we can be mindful that of the actuality of, look, oh, greed is present, aversion is present, restlessness is present, sleepiness is present. Even in the presence of those four hindrances, we can have some awakenedness. But when doubt is taking place, we're in a bubble. We're separated. in our own little internal world of thought, trying to analyze and figure out and make up, and we're trying to find a solution to a problem that actually doesn't exist. And when you try to find a solution to a problem that doesn't exist, you don't find the solution because, right, the problem doesn't exist. There is no solution to nothing. The solution is to go, oh, wait, I'm just caught in a loop here that has no purpose, that's going nowhere, that provides no juice at all. And the antidote to that in that moment is faith. And I think faith has to start with faith in the work that is actually present in our being. All that we have done in whatever area, whatever modality, not just, growth through, the Buddha's teaching, but anything that we have done to give us a steadiness, a calm, and a clarity of vision, seeing things as they actually are. Every one of us has done a great deal and we can't ignore that if we want to, be happy. We have to keep coming back. Whenever, you feel yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, all discombobulated, and you're trying to figure out, what's this all about? It's so helpful if you can pause at that moment and say, wait a minute, I have skills. I have skills. I have experience and wisdom. And start breathing. Move your attention from the chaos that's occurring in your heart, in your mind, in your body. Take a breath. Take another breath. Go. And just rest for a bit. Maybe just somewhere in the back there, just go, it's okay. I have faith. I got this. I've done this work. I'm caught in the moment, in a wave. But I will soon be seated in a place of stability and safety, a place of clarity and wisdom. When we look for clarity of wisdom in a narrative of explanation, we get cloudy again, because explanations are infinite. They roll from one to another, to another, to another, to another, to another, going nowhere. We don't have to go anywhere. We can be here, Here's okay. It is where we are. And whatever comes next, it's always wise to start from where we are. In this teaching from Sharon Salzberg that I was looking at. Um, she had four ways of defining faith that I thought was really interesting. Um, she said sometimes faith means trust. And she said that her teacher, U Pandita, once said to her, "You're striving in your practice. You're striving to achieve. You're trying to make the practice do something." And U Pandita said to her, "Just practice. Mindfulness will take care of the rest." That's a teaching that has been really, really valuable for me. The quality during meditation of having, a habit energy arise, a pattern of thought or body or heart. And instead of doing anything else, I steady mindfulness. I just pay attention to the experience of this habit pattern, this habit of thought, this habit of mind, this habit of body, this habit of heart. I love Rumi's statement, greeted at the door laughing, especially if it's really a difficult one or a painful one. Welcome this painful habit, because every time we push it away or we get flooded by it and can't maintain any sense of clarity, we don't learn much. We don't develop as much. When a difficult habit arises and we have faith, we have trust in the practice of mindfulness, the practice of simply paying attention to the direct experience of what this habit is. How is it manifesting in the body, in the heart, in the mind? To say hello, to greet it with delight because, oh right, this is why I practice. I practice to see you clearly, vividly, as you actually are. This very habit, this is what I'm practicing for, is to see what this is all about without turning it into a language lesson, without turning it into a bunch of stories, one after the other, but rather to actually see it as it enters our experience, as it's present, and of course, as it ceases. Everything ceases. What a bountiful experience of practice to know the arising of this habit energy, to steady our attention and calm the energy that wants to make a story out of it, and to let it go, to release it to its own journey, and to develop an understanding of its intrinsic nature. To be able to do this requires faith. The pressure, the energy that wants to pull us into an analysis of what's going on, wants to grab stories and, relationships that this habit has been connected to in the past or in the moment, to blur the habit so it's not seen clearly. These energies are incredibly powerful. When doubt arises, when you doubt that you could ever get anywhere with working with this energy, yeah, not much happens then. When you have faith, the faith in the form of trust, the trust that you don't need to come up with a solution. You don't need to language the answer. All that is needed is mindfulness, is to see vividly and clearly what is actually occurring, to know what is occurring. This is the work. Sharon said that faith can also take the form of inspiration. I think the greatest and deepest inspiration, it comes from knowing that you have done this before, that there have been moments when something has come up and you sustain some mindfulness, some clarity, or even just rested in the breath until it passed, or until you accepted its presence. It's inspiring to know, that you have done this in your practice. Once you have experienced directly any aspect of the awakening of mindfulness, it is then embodied. It's known in the body. And that is inspiring. And when something comes up that you've never dealt with, or you've never dealt with in this particular way, then the inspiration comes from other people who have done it. There are certainly not as many as we need, but there are tremendously wise people in this world, either still living or having lived. And their teachings are boundless and everywhere. And they're inspiring. They sustain us in difficulties and encourage us to explore more deeply, to touch areas that were maybe in the past not safe to touch. And maybe our practice has developed to the point where we can actually see things that before we needed to blur. And now, oh, look, my steadiness has developed to the point that I can actually look at stuff that before I would always veer off. One of the places that we veer off to, or at least I do, is the past or the future. Something is occurring in the present, It's occurring right, it's occurring. And I immediately like switch to like something that triggers a memory or something. Uh, or it could be oh my God, how am I going to ever continue or live in the future with this? It's like those are just really um, habitual ways of deflecting what's actually occurring, of blurring it, because and and to hold that movement to the past or the future when things are too much. The statement that could be made at that moment is, oh, I'm so glad I'm able to soften this. I could see it was too much for me right now. Being mindful that you just diverted your attention from something that was too hard to sit with is an incredible skill. You don't need to grab your head and shove your eyes into something that you don't want to see. That's violence and not helpful. To be able to sweeten the moment by saying, oh, look, I'm all, coming up with all these stories about times in the past that this triggered. Or I'm sitting here with anxiety about how I'm going to deal with this when something in the future arises. Oh, honey, it's really a hard one, isn't it? Oh, let me take care of myself. Let me rest quietly here in the breath for a while. We're not trying to achieve. We're trying to rest in mindfulness. Sharon also said that faith can mean confidence. What greater way to experience confidence than to simply stay present? To have faith that I can stay present, that even if staying present brings up a lot of restlessness and sleepiness, greed and aversion, boredom, anxiety, it's okay. It's okay as long as you're mindful. The confidence is, oh, look at this. There's mindfulness present. I can see the restlessness. I can see the I want to get out of this. And I'm confident that I can sustain mindfulness at least some of the time. And then the fourth way Sharon mentioned faith is in terms of patience. And there we are. Oh, I am not needing a breakthrough. I don't need to conquer this in this very moment. I only need to sustain mindfulness. I can be patient. I have faith that over time, sustaining a practice of mindfulness, coming back to knowing what is occurring in the present moment, knowing the mind state that accompanies what's present, knowing the feeling tone that arises in the face of this very experience. And sustaining our practice, coming back to our practice each time we get lost. Being patient. We don't have to do anything right now. We just rest and relax in mindfulness. So let's practice this. Let's practice having faith in ourselves.